Hello and welcome. My name is Darren, and today we're going to be talking about AMD. So, it's been about 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, since I moved back to an AMD platform. I haven't been on AMD for probably about 3 years now, maybe. My very first PC build was on a AMD platform, so I think I'm right in thinking that was a 3700X, but it might have been a 5700. It was an AM4 platform, and at the time that was paired with a RTX 2070, if I'm right. And I think pandemic time came. I think I was looking at upgrading to a 3080 at the time, and obviously everything was a nightmare to try and get hold of. Nvidia was almost impossible. AMD probably wasn't actually that much easier, certainly not where I live. So I ended up, I think at the time the best I could find was a 6800 XT. So I purchased that. I never felt that my system ran great, so I ended up with a 5800X CPU. So 5800X paired with a 6800 XT, and at the time, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have the best experience. Now, I'm not gonna say that that wasn't user error, and obviously, I think it was my first. It might have been my second build. It was either my first or my second build. I went through a lot of uninstalling, reinstalling Windows. I just never felt that it was running particularly right. I suffered quite a lot of stuttering in games and just annoying things. The random crash here and there. If the computer ever went to sleep, you tried to start it, nightmare. So just some random niggles really, and in the end I sold it. And for the last probably 8, 9, 10 builds, I've literally been on Intel and Nvidia. So I went for a run of 30 series cards, 3070 Ti's, 3080 Ti, which I still have, and they were on the Intel platform. So I think I went random. Obviously I've done builds for myself, I've done builds I've moved on, I've done builds that the children have had or the wife's had. So I've gone through 10600K, 10.7, 11, 12, so on and so forth. I don't want to drag this into an Intel Nvidia type thing, so long story short, a couple of months ago decided that I wanted to get back into the AMD platform. I've heard good things. It's hard to try and find good information. Obviously there's a lot of negativity at the moment, and it goes towards both brands. So there's a lot of negativity towards AMD, there's a lot of negativity towards Nvidia, there's a lot of negativity towards Intel, and trying to find the right information is never easy. There's obviously a lot of videos on YouTube from your major tech tubers, so on and so forth. I don't think that they've ever been negative towards AMD, but at the same time, they don't necessarily sell you AMD, and I can kind of understand some reasons why. Some reasons probably a bit unfair. But yeah, obviously I decided that I'd seen enough and I wanted to give AMD another go to see if it was how I felt about it going forward in the future. If I felt I was having a better experience than the last experience, because basically running off the last experience, I'd probably say I would maybe not go back there again. I'd probably still continue to stick on the Intel NVIDIA platform, which I've had a better experience with. So anyway, as I said, I built my system about 2 weeks ago. It is a 7800X3D, so I'm on a X670E platform. That's the Asus Gene motherboard, which is randomly it's a micro ATX board, which is fine. I don't obviously I run my PCs are for gaming. I don't do any type of productivity work on my PCs, so I don't need the bottom PCIe slots. That's no problem. My main reason for going for the board at the time was I know that AMD up until recently has been a bit of a struggle with DDR5, especially with some of the higher capacities. So the same moving on to DDR5 when I moved on to the Intel. I was basically looking, and it suited me fine because on the Intel, when I was on the Intel platform, my favourite motherboards were the MSI motherboards, and the MSI motherboards in particular were the Unify motherboards. Now they did a MSI Unify X motherboard, which is a 2DIMM, and reading a lot of the reviews, the 2DIMM motherboards generally handle higher frequency memory easier with it only being 2DIMM. So when I knew that obviously there was maybe a bit of a problem with memory on the AM5 platform, I saw this Asus Gene motherboard and micro ATX, so it's a 2DIMM board, and I thought, you know what, I could do without any hassle with memory tuning or memory issues, trying to obviously set memory timings myself. I'm not that's not something that I'm comfortable really in doing. I haven't really gone that far, so the board suited me fine. So yes, I'm on the Asus X670 Gene motherboard, 7800X3D, and the GPU is the Sapphire 7900xtx Nitro version, and that's a lovely looking card. I've done a lot of builds, and I'm not a rainbow RGB fan, but I quite like obviously kind of a two color RGB, or I also like a blackout build, so I actually quite like a no RGB at all. But obviously this GPU has got this big LED strip straight down the center. It is a really good looking GPU, and a really high quality looking GPU. Huge cooler on it. It probably deserves a kind of review all on itself, but yeah, huge cooler, silent performance, fantastic. So that's paired with 32 gigabytes of 6000 megahertz CL30 DDR5, which is the Corsair Dominator Titanium, which is obviously that's got the tighter timings. As I'd hoped, I threw that in, no issue. Took the CL30 timings, took the 6000 megahertz, absolutely no problem at all. There's an overclock profile in there, which is a 6200 megahertz. I ran that to try it, no problem at all. So Now, whether that's down to the two DIMMs or not, I've no idea. But it's never failed with me, so it's something that I'll happily carry on with. I have no need for the four DIMM slots. I have no need for that much memory. As I say, I'm only gaming, so 32 gigs. I don't see that being a problem for a long time. So two DIMM slots is absolutely fine for me. So yeah, I've got a couple of storage. I think I've got my a 1 TB, which I just run the OS off, which obviously 1 TB's a bit overkill, but I like to keep that kind of relatively clean. So I put recordings into it, I run the OS off it, and any apps and stuff like that, and then I run a 2 TB drive. At the moment, there's just one 2 TB drive in there as a game drive. They're both the Western Digital Black SN850X drives. I've run Western Digital Black drives for years. So the SN750 drives, 750Xs, 850Xs. I've never had a problem with any of the Western Digital Black drives. They've always run perfect, so no issues there at all. And then yeah, I'm basically in a NZXT H6 Flow case, Lian Li AL mixture of AL 140s and AL 120s, and a Lian Li Galahad 2 CPU cooler. So Lian Li fans, fantastic. If you're really lazy with cable management like I am, they're perfect for you, because there's a lot less cables, a lot less clutter, one controller. You can fit a load of fans in and just use one controller. You generally only need to pull in one lead off a bank of fans, which is really handy. So a lot less cable management to worry about. And yeah, so that's basically my build. Now, as far as experience, I've got nothing to fault. Like, I would, and I have, since building this PC, absolutely recommend AMD. It's run flawlessly. Now, I am used to, obviously, as I said, on an Intel platform. My main desktop PC, obviously on this desk here, is a 13700K, and you can notice that the 7800X3D in your general use doesn't feel as quick as what the Intel one does. But as I say, my main thing is gaming, and when it comes to gaming, it's an awesome CPU. Performance is incredible, and obviously when you're talking thermals and power draw, insane compared to, unfortunately, Intel's weakest point, no one can deny it, is obviously power. They just draw too much power. In gaming, it's not what it's made out to be. You'll hear a lot of people saying that you're pulling 300 watts. No, you're not. Obviously, as I say, I'm running a 13700K. You might pull maybe 120 watts, but normally you're below 100 watts. But then on the 7800X3D side, a lot of the time you're below 50 watts, which is incredible for the performance that you're getting. So I would absolutely, my next build, even if it was a NVIDIA build, could easily be paired with an AMD CPU for the moment. We'll wait and see what Intel brings. I never discard anything. I don't listen. I don't really want to get involved in the over-the-top fanboy stuff. I don't want to get involved in AMD Intel wars. I don't want to get involved in AMD NVIDIA wars. You'll just get bombarded, and your mind will get overrun with a lot of false negative comments, which don't really serve a purpose. They don't help anyone. They don't help people going forward. So yeah, I'm happy to try things out for myself, and I'm glad that I've tried this X670 platform. I'm glad I've tried the 7800X3D. It's an awesome CPU. 7900X XTX, amazing. This thing's got some power. It's, I mean, there's nothing that I'm not going to run with. I'm at the moment. I've got it on a ultra wide 1440p, but I've ran it for probably 3 or 4 weeks on a 4K, and everything I've thrown at it, it's eaten up. I do like playing. I prefer to game with high graphics, so I've not been pushing it into like 200 or 300 FPS or anything like that. I'm playing 4K ultra settings on everything I'm playing, and it's it's an absolute beast, that type of thing. I mean, you're only really talking a 4090 that's going to beat it, or a 4080, which sometimes it can go either way. I am running a 4080 myself, and there's plenty of times when the 7900 XTX will pull ahead of the 4080 in performance. Sometimes the 4080 will. If you're looking at AMD, I think you'll probably already know that AMD do have a weakness when it comes to ray tracing compared to NVIDIA. Now, that might be a problem for you, it might not be a problem for you. When you're looking at something as high as the XTX, you're still going to get, it's not like you're getting terrible ray tracing performance, you're just not getting the same level as, say for instance, the 4080. You're probably not quite getting the same level as a 4070 Ti, maybe 4070 Super. I think my 3080
Motion
Ti,
detected at the front door.
you're probably around that, so ray tracing performance, it's not going to be as good as NVIDIA, but that doesn't mean it's terrible. If I have a slight gripe, if I can pick out a weakness for me at the moment on the AMD platform, it's going to be FSR. I do use upscalers. Like I said, I play 4K quality settings, and there's quite a few games now that upscalers are needed. At 4K, FSR can either be perfect, it can be as good as DLSS, but there are times when it does drop off and it is noticeable. So for me, the big area of improvement I'd love to see with AMD going forward is going to be in the upscalers. They could really do with some improvement in FSR. I've heard that there's going to be improvements coming in FSR. We've seen a few articles. So hopefully in the future, that will be something that will come. And at that point, I will be seriously considering whether I want to stick with NVIDIA in the future or if AMD is an option. Obviously, depending on where you live in the world, you could save a lot of money on the AMD platform. Where I live, it's the 4080 and the 7900 XTX are quite close in price. So in that way, in that respect, you could go either way depending on exactly what you were looking for. But I mean, if you're a person that that plays, I'd certainly say if you're a high FPS player.
Motion detected at the front door.
If you're a competitive player, so you're looking for high FPS, and you're not really bothered about upscalers, you're certainly not bothered about RT, then AMD could definitely be for you, and you could definitely be saving some money by doing so. So I have no problems recommending it whatsoever. I've had so far a good experience. I've had no black screens, no crashes, and yeah, it's been a good run for me. So I will be, obviously in the future, if I have any problems, I will be bringing those forward. But for now, hopefully, this has been informative, and yeah, if you like this, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.